Surprise! This is The Metamorphosis by this dude, Mr. Franz Kafka. It's such a fun book. If you are here for the first time, I am so happy that you're joining us, but hey, start here at the beginning of the book, and then the most important thing, click down here, 3 dots, to read with me, and especially to use the imitation technique. Our boy Gregor is having the strangest morning that anybody could possibly have. Let's see what he's up to now. The first thing he wanted to do was to get up in peace without being disturbed, to get dressed, and most of all, to have his breakfast. Only then would he consider what to do next, as he was well aware that he would not bring his thoughts to any sensible conclusions by lying in bed. He remembered that he had often felt a slight pain in bed, perhaps caused by lying awkwardly, then had always turned out to be pure imagination, and he wondered how his imaginings would slowly resolve themselves today. He did not have the slightest doubt that the change in his voice was nothing more than the first sign of a serious cold, which was an occupational hazard for traveling salesmen. "Oh, Gregor, I'm so sorry, but I don't think so." There's some really good words all in one paragraph, so let's take a look. Disturbed can have 2 completely different meanings. If you disturb someone or if you are disturbed by someone, it means bothered, to be annoyed or irritated by someone else, or to do that to someone. However, if a person is disturbed, if this is their permanent condition, it means they are crazy, really weird, sickos, oddballs, something like that, any of those. If something is sensible, it is likely to be of benefit, it is prudent, wise, a good decision if it's sensible. To resolve something is to fix, to find a solution to something. He says that a cold is an occupational hazard, because of course he travels. If something is occupational, it is related to your work or occupation. So this is a work hazard or danger, risk. That's a hazard. Turning into a bug is a hazard to your health. All right, let's go back to the book. It was a simple matter to throw off the covers. He only had to blow himself up a little and they fell off by themselves. But it became difficult after that, especially as he was so exceptionally broad. He would have used his arms and his hands to push himself up, but instead of them, he only had all those little legs continuously moving in different directions, and which he was moreover unable to control. If he wanted to bend one of them, then that was the first one that would stretch itself out, and if he finally managed to do what he wanted with that leg, all the others seemed to be set free and would move about painfully. This is something that can't be done in bed, Gregor said to himself. Don't keep trying to do it. The first thing he wanted to do was to get the lower part of his body out of the bed. But he had never seen this lower part and could not imagine what it looked like. It turned out to be too hard to move. It went so slowly, and finally, almost in a frenzy, when he carelessly shoved himself forwards with all the force he could gather, he chose the wrong direction, hit hard against the lower bedpost, and learned from the burning pain he felt that the lower part of his body might well, at present, be the most sensitive. This probably sounds like a lot of us in the morning, right? Gregor says that his body now is very broad. Broad just means wide. If someone has bad aim, if you try to shoot something or make a basket, if someone is very bad, you can say that they can't hit the broad side of a barn. The broad side of a building means the wide side. Bum, 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 bum. Gregor says he would move about painfully. I don't think Gregor is talking about physical pain. Here, painfully means more so tedious, very strenuous and exhausting. So he's doing it painfully. Again, he does talk about pain, but I think he's talking more about the difficulty of doing this very simple task. Of course, he's trying to keep himself composed, to stay calm. However, things turn into a frenzy. A frenzy is just a very chaotic situation. And if you do something in a frenzy, it's very rushed and haphazard, and that's what's happening to Gregor. He's losing his cool. He's getting a bit upset with himself. He hit the lower bedpost. The bedpost, basically the 4 legs and that supporting structure underneath the mattress. Here is the bedpost, so you can take a look. The mattress is the cushion that you sleep on. Okay, let's go back to the book. So then he tried to get the top part of his body out of bed first. carefully turning his head to the side. This he managed quite easily, and despite its breadth and its weight, the bulk of his body eventually followed slowly in the direction of the head. But when he had at last got his head out of the bed and into the fresh air, it occurred to him that if he let himself fall, it would be a miracle if his head were not injured. So he became afraid to carry on pushing himself forward the same way, and he could not knock himself out now at any price. Better to stay in bed than lose consciousness. He's talking about moving the bulk of his body. That means the mass, the weight of his body. Breadth, there is a D in here. It sounds very similar to breath, the stuff that comes out of your mouth. But here, breadth is talking about the distance or measurement of something, how big something is. When we use breadth, it's usually talking about something larger, I think. It's not a very common word, so if you don't use this word already, I would ignore it and just recognize it when you are reading or listening to someone. Finally, Gregor slows down a little bit because he realizes he might fall and lose consciousness. Consciousness is just to be awake, to be aware. The adjective is conscious, and to be conscious of something means to be aware or know of or about something. To lose consciousness, we can say to get knocked out. If you're knocked out, it is by force. For example, in the US with American football, the players are often knocked out and they get concussions. This book is very well translated. The vocabulary choice I think is excellent. Poor old Gregor. This is like the Odyssey of just getting out of bed. If you have any questions or if you want to experiment using some of this vocabulary to make sure you understand it, definitely put it in the comments of this video. Always a pleasure, guys. So I will see you soon. Enjoy yourselves. Ciao for now. Bye.